Okay. In the recent sphere of political drama, alligator Alcatraz, what Trump said, what DeSantis said, what whatever they said, man, it's no surprise that I had someone yesterday, a couple come to me from Chicago, and Chicago was mentioned in the recent military speech. And listen, y'all, this is what my review is. All of that stuff is very general. All right. It can be specific. It cannot be specific. But what are you going to decide as individuals? See, let's say the whole point. Let's take that phrase about the enemy from within, right? Well, the enemy from within applies to several things. There's the enemy within that people have when they're living in fear against another human, okay, or living in fear or competition against another human versus trying to only be your better self. It's better to just try to be your better self, okay, versus trying to one off on somebody, especially when you live in the world and all of the nations in the world have credit that's infinite. That makes it makes no sense, okay? If this is a banking maneuver from central banks, okay, to try to instill fear, again, those are people that are not operating at a full intelligent capacity, okay? And that's obvious. Now, what could enemy within also mean? Enemy within can also mean that we have people coming from outside, and we have seen it, that get into certain jobs or positions or businesses, and they use their business practices as ways to deter or to take away freedom, okay? What does enemy within also mean? What could it mean? It can also mean, okay, that there are certain people acting under what is known as color of law. And color of law is recognized in federal law. All right, it's recognized in the Constitution. So what do people actually mean? See, people hear these things and they're thinking either too much to the left or too much to the right. You need to be in between, y'all. Y'all need to be in between because it's broad for a very fucking specific reason. It's not specific for a reason because you can't specify what you really don't actually know. You see? No one can specify, nor the president, nor anybody of any organization can specify what they actually don't know. They can only make general gestures and educated guesses, all right? Educated guesses, okay? About what that can mean. And you can only make a general educated guess of what that could imply. Okay, so what are we all supposed to do as human beings of Earth? We have to have our minds ready for whatever scenario and put our best foot forward, okay, in all things. Okay, for example, when I was dealing with a bully, a bus driver who had an issue with a service animal, okay, and then try to flip my complaint to them, to their higher up, about it, and then she tried to flip it, the narrative, to seem like she was in danger. That person, guess what I did? Patrols at night. That's all I really need to do. That's why I say real power is beyond guns, it's beyond bombs. Okay, so I did my ritual at night. I meditated, I forgave, I had compassion, I stepped into worst case scenarios, and I stepped into best case scenarios. Worst case scenarios meant, for me, any possible drama I might have to fight. Worst case scenario also meant worst case scenario that she does not um, be better or does not choose to let go and just love. Okay, so this is I've done this ritual, and people do these rituals all the time. Okay, you reflect and you let love guide you, and you prepare your mind for everything. And when you stand in righteousness and firmness and love, okay, yes, you stand in love, you get real power that can move with nature. And then nature recognizes that. I mean, look at the whole thing with alligator Alcatraz. Is it no surprise? It shouldn't be a surprise that nature done send a freaking rain. Hello? It's no surprise. It should also be no surprise that if the alligators decide, let's say they try to, let's say they're doing, they make those efforts on innocent people and they overstep their private administration boundaries, basically breaking a few international global laws and national laws. Let's say it's that. Let's just hypothetically say that's what happens. Well, it would be no surprise that the alligators decide to do something about it. And then the ones that's just one scenario. You see what we're saying here? Okay. The other scenario is just a big public stunt, just so that they could learn. It could be that it's a stunt. What you could be seeing, ladies and gentlemen, is a fucking, what do they call that? The looking glass. Because look, you're looking behind this glass. So they're like, well, let's see where that goes. Okay, let's see what happens if we say this and we pretend this happens. That would be the looking glass. It's like, oh, okay, not a good idea there. All right. So don't be swayed, ladies and gentlemen. You got to put all these things together. You got to come to a neutral ground and a ground that elevates other people. Okay. And as far as training ground, man, the only training ground that's going to exist in America is one where everybody gets involved. Anybody who come to America get involved, and it's like we got sexy battle time, and then we got like war games, but then martial arts war games and medieval kind of like war games. Customize your gear and stuff. Part of the MAGA project, and then that's it. Everyone has a camaraderie to defend this land. I'm not going to talk about the business of the nation. I'm going to talk about the land, the continent, the community that we are creating, that we are becoming globally, nationally, that we already are and already were. So anyways, y'all need to stop like worrying about all that shit and like stay focused, like for real. Okay. All right. Namaste. I mean, it's good to talk about it, but also don't lose your focus. All right. Namaste.